Hello everyone, welcome to Minecraft and my channel. I decided today I was going to show you guys my experimental world. This is the world I create and test everything in. Honestly, I can't remember what this was for. I want to say that this was for a explosion test or something, what burns maybe. This is glazed terracotta. I wanted to see what different patterns were created. This might be particular to my texture pack, but I'm not entirely sure. This was, if you're a long-time viewer on a lot of the Minecraft videos, you'll more than likely understand what this is. This is the glitch effect that happens when you butt two sticky pistons or even regular pistons up together. When you power one, the second one goes. See? So I'm really only powering up this one, but because they're butted up against each other, this one will get powered. I wanted to see how much that would extend, so I tried it on 3. And as you can see here, only 2. This was to see where water would flow, the dynamics of the water. I'll randomly do this to be able to see where the water is going to go in a new world. Ever since, damn, I can't remember how far back. For the longest while, water will usually go right down. Instead of, if you place it over here, it spreads out like that. When you place it near a ledge, it'll fall right into the ledge. That's what I had hoped. This was a design not particularly useful for anything. I just wanted to see how the new slime piston block worked. And it moves it all up. The repeater, I wanted to see how the observer block worked. That's really all it was. Honestly, I can't remember why I had the piston, oh, I remember why. I wanted to see if it did that. And it does. These were supposed to be obsidian generators that ultimately failed. I can't remember the exact game mechanics, but I know that they just failed miserably. Both of these are. I was told in the video that I was watching that it had to face a certain direction, which is why I made one facing east to west and one facing north to south. I figured if there was a difference, this would show me. Makeshift machine gun. And that's what this is over here for. That's it. And this was a tripwire set up, basically like an alarm, but without the bells. It would go off in a manner like, so if you're building a house like that, on this side you'll see it. Of course, it'd be a little bit more well built. This was just a test. This was to get a record. I wanted to see how it would work, so I put a villager over here. I believe I put a zombie here and a skeleton over there. Currently I have it on peaceful so I can just make the video. But I believe that's what I had there. This was a lamppost test that I use that I tried to use in some of my worlds. This one I'd used. This one I didn't, mainly because it doesn't serve the function that I wanted. I wanted it to come on at night, and obviously I'd need to invert it, but I haven't figured out how to make a really simple inverter so that it works the way I want it to. This was to test, again, the same concept. I wanted to see if it would turn on during the day, even if it was covered. This was testing how far the water had to be away from the dirt blocks in order to be able to have things there. A lot of these failed horribly. I mean, you will go through, when you test things out, you will go through at least 1,000,001 things that fail before you get something that actually works. And probably even more before things actually work on the first try. When you have something that works on the first try, you did something very right. This was to see if I could power rails underneath. I wanted to see if I could soft power everything up through the block. Didn't work out particularly. This was the same concept. I wanted to see if it would power through there. This was testing the difference between certain, this one's a dropper, this one's a dispenser. I didn't understand the difference between the two. I didn't know which one did what until, I did that. That's how I knew. This dispenses the object. This will actually use the object. It's the same thing I did right here, because I didn't realize I did that over there. I've done that multiple times. I've made something and then went off and remade it. See? This right here was to test the, this right here. I wanted to, well, it was to test that, and it was also to test the observer block. I wanted to see if the observer block would update with this. So I did that, and it does. If you're a regular on my channel, and you've seen my updated Mega Build world, this was kind of something I wanted to try. I wanted to see if those blocks, these are the grass blocks that have been, they're not dug, they just made it into like a path, like that. I wanted to see if they would change when they get moved up. And apparently they don't. But the weird thing is, when you have a slab, because slabs count as kind of a whole block, they don't count as a block, they count as kind of a whole block. And of course I did that right here. If you do that, so right now there's one block, and then this is half block. But because they're kind of a whole block, this block all of a sudden doesn't become a pathway. It gets turned into a dirt block. I figured that out on my main world. This was a trap I built. This actually worked. Took some tinkering, but it did work. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Damn you. So if you have, you know, these are villages, of course, but you can have any monster in there. And then it kills them. That's actually new. That's never happened to me before. Usually, I was trying to test for an instantaneous block that would, you wouldn't fall. It could be made into a path that you can cross, or, you know, the trap. You could flip a switch on one side, and it would automatically become an impassable pass. Like that. But I guess, and it's only the little guys, so I guess they drop down quicker than the big guys? I don't know. But two of them aren't. Okay. But yeah, that's what that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a trap. And now I'm going to kill them all, because they're getting annoying. This was another thing that I tried testing out. On the same principle as this, which I need you to get back in there before you decide to roam off. I wanted to see how these blocks would work, but I just didn't like how you could see the pistons underneath, but I did like how it came out. It looks like a regular gate, and then the gate pulls apart. I did like how it came out, but I didn't like that you could see the pistons underneath. This was just another test of what did what could go through what. The redstone circuits can go through half slabs. I think that's a half slab. No, that's a sticky piston. Oh, I remember. That didn't go there. It was to see about that. This block goes through, gets powered, powers sticky piston, and then this powers this piston. That's all that was. And I want to say I did. No, guess not. I don't even remember my own builds sometimes. I know some of them. This was testing out a mob. I wanted to see if I covered it, would it not disappear, even though it was bright all around? Did it have to be in 100% darkness? This was to test how high these blocks would actually throw you. Turns out pretty well. I mean, that's not bad. Pretty much, I just created the little circuit, pushed the buttons, saw how high it was, added a block each time until it stopped. Put one more higher, and you don't get up there. This was testing, again, the same concept as before. What would transfer through when you push this pressure plate? This does get powered. Testing certain blocks. I didn't know how beetroots were grown. I had to look it up and then I had to test it, and then figured that out. This was to test for the new snapshot update, and I still don't know how people have the snapshot. I thought maybe I did, and it was just not working, or maybe I didn't know. So I wanted to see, and yeah, it doesn't work. I want to say I got this idea off of Mumbo. This is a very quick generator of food, and it has bone meal in it. Supposedly, you were supposed to be able to just keep clicking and you'd get tons of wheat, and for some reason it didn't work for me. Just another test. I do this with all new blocks that come out. Test if redstone will go through it, if it'll be powered on the other side, and it does. Logic gate. Oh, not these. This wasn't logic gates. This was just testing to see where I could direct power. When you flip it on, these two will light up. Turn it off, and those two will. This was the ladder design. So when you send the power through here, this one turns off, this one turns on, so on and so on. This is another way. This is an easy way to get power high up. So if you flip the switch, let's say you have a power running this way. If you end on this, it'll go that way. And then when you turn it off, because everything drops down, that won't be powered. I think this was just testing what I could put carpet on. My texture pack has carpet that goes over the sides rather than just like that. But it only does it on certain blocks. As you can tell, what burns on the new lava block? Apparently, nothing. But water does make that fizzy sound. But it was just weird. I wanted to see. I thought because it's lava, maybe it'll burn stuff, but it doesn't. This was supposed to be a retractable bed. Something that would be able to move beds up and down without breaking them. But it doesn't work. I figured sticky pistons wouldn't do the job. But, yeah. In fact, not only does it not do the job, it pulls this piston up instead of extending the piston. This actually worked. It looks natural, but then later I learned that if you cover your bed and you die, and you don't have, like for instance, this right here has these 4 blocks surrounding it. If I were to sleep in this bed, create my spawn point here, and then die, I'd spawn anywhere over here. Do this, however, and you don't respawn there. I mean, it looks good. It looks completely natural, like it's part of the surrounding. But you won't be able to respawn there. This was to test how far it could move things. Over here I tested how far it goes. I wanted to know if it still had the same limit as the regular piston. The regular piston will only move, I want to say it was 12 blocks. This is the same thing. Now it doesn't move anymore. But it, if I remember correctly, yeah, see? And even if you so this actually severely limits. You can literally only have so many blocks attached to your piston. I thought maybe it was 12 this way, and then you could still have things attached over here. But nope. This was supposed to be like an underground viewer. Supposed to be able to do that and see, but it doesn't work. Wanted to see if the slime block would melt. Figured made out of slime, maybe it'll melt under lava. And this annoying contraption is something I just have a penchant for building. I find this very satisfying to watch. It's loud, but it's satisfying. Each one of them moves exactly in sync with each other, so that the block moves all the way around. This was my mob farm, and it does work, but this particular model doesn't because I built it wrong. Wrong button. And I don't remember why I did that. Boredom. I didn't build it high enough, is basically the problem. The concept was the same as any normal farm. You have the mobs that come in, they fall down, and then they had one of two ways. They could either fall down that way or fall down that way. And then they'd fall and hit these and die. It was supposed to be an easy thing that I could get to store all the items, but it didn't work because it was too low. When they'd fall down, they'd just get hurt. They wouldn't die. Little logic gate. Testing out the mechanics of an ender portal. I had read somewhere that you could make an ender portal in any shape. I guess it was supposed to be something along the lines of a new update, but it didn't work. So you have the massive portal, which you can obviously do, and then you build on the inside to make it look however cool you want. And here is the final test. This is what eventually became the making of that. I wanted to see how high it had to be. And I went absurdly large with it. Not gonna lie, I don't remember what this was for. Probably to test something, but I can't remember. This was to test how the redstone flowed. Yeah. Oh, I remember. I remember what it did. I wanted to have the blocks shuffle around, but it was kind of pointless since it had one block that had to be missing, so that it would move around. And this is testing out how many blocks needed to change from one color to the next. It starts off as red, and then green. It takes 5 blocks to get from one color to the next. Otherwise, you only change it slightly. This was an interesting little build of mine that I kind of did out of boredom. And I'm interested in knowing why it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. If any of you have an idea, please let me know in the comments. Of course, the wood block didn't burn from the magma block that's here. That I proved over there, but I wanted to see something else. And if we come into here, you can see magma birch. The birch isn't burning, and I have no clue why. Anyone who is in Minecraft should know what this is. I want to test if it would still work. And it doesn't. Exactly. New observer block. How does it work? I learned that water is constantly updating. This is like a constant tick stream. Maybe there are applications for this. I haven't thought of any yet, but it works. And I wanted to see if the observer would count that as an update, but it doesn't. It does, however, count that as lighting up, which I actually learned after I built this, here and in another video. This right here was just a new entity block. I had stopped playing Minecraft for quite a while, and then all of a sudden there was a new update including those little, what the hell were they called? The flying mobs that I want to say the husks dish out. I can't remember what they're called. The Vex. These guys. They were the Vex, Vindicator, all those. I wanted to see if they would burn in the sunlight, and what they did. And of course the Vex went right through the glass, and I was very upset about that. Infinite minecart loot, not loot, minecart track. That's another mob test that I built. And this is just a track. I built that to send both carts flying and see how far they went. And that's my test world. This was a entity thing. I want to see how many entities. Something about 25 entities. Yep, see? I had watched a video. Oh, their voices annoy the hell out of me. I had watched a video about entity stacking, seeing farms made out of that, and I wanted to see if it worked. And this is how I clear land for more builds. I do this all by hand. I don't use MC Edit, I don't use anything like that. I literally clear out. Probably takes me about a day to open up a new area. What I'll end up doing is I'll end up clearing all of this, and probably end up clearing all of this over here. And then I'll fill in this stream right here with either gravel or sand, and then I'll top it off with stone. But those are my builds. Just random things that I've done to test objects and things like that. I have a download link to this world for anyone who wants to download it and check it out. Oh, I actually forgot about this little guy. This was supposed to be a particle detector, and it didn't work. I had read about it and tried to build it. Didn't work. Not surprisingly, but it was supposed to Not that. Oh, yeah, right there. It was supposed to work when you did that. The particles that come off were supposed to activate the redstone circuit, but it didn't work. It was supposed to be... Nope. No, not that. That. Supposed to be something like that. But then that happens. I don't know. But yeah, that's my world that I use to test and create random things. I come here when I'm bored and fool around. But yeah, this was to see whether or not when they run across it. Seriously. I wanted to see if it would do that. This guy I haven't obviously tamed. Anyways, thanks for joining while I showed off this random world. This is probably my proudest achievement right here in this game. The fact that you can't even really tell when it flips. It's so subtle. That's what I like about this. I made it so that you can see all the circuitry. But yeah, it works perfectly. And it only took minor tweaking to actually work, but I like how it came out. Anyways, thanks again for joining me.